Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I am here with the weekly astrology forecast for the week of today, Sunday, December 14th, through next Saturday, the 20th. This is a week of energy of disillusion, destiny, and choosing integrity over illusion. So it's interesting to note that we're at the tail end of this lunar cycle. We're at the last week. We actually have on Friday, we have the new moon. So we're already in that lunar cycle dissolution phase, but the planets are helping us out here with kind of making this a very powerful threshold week. And it's worth noting that there's, a lot of planets moving through the final degrees of Sag, um, and Pisces, and those final degrees are kind of what are activating the endings. But there's also kind of some karmic pressure points. And I guess I'll get into it now, but I just want to start off by saying this week is not a week for kind of just like autopilot and numbing out. This is a week for discernment, not to be afraid, just to be aware. So let's start on Sunday, December 14th. This day's pretty dense. It's active. There's a couple emotional layers that are happening, and I'll go through it with the times or rough timestamps. There's five aspects on today, Sunday, and one of them, well, has already happened because it's happened at 6:44 a.m. this morning. Mars squaring Neptune. Mars is at the final degree of Sag. Neptune is at the final degree of Pisces. This is kind of a classic signature of a little foggy, maybe a little depleted energy, maybe there's not like a clear clarity in direction. So it's this is at 7, close to 7 a.m. So this is just kind of letting us know not time to force anything. And it's really a time to listen. So if your energy in the morning feels a little bit low, then just listen to your body. And if the direction or what to do feels unclear, it's okay to take it slow in the morning. But in the morning, like less than an hour after that, we also have the sun trining Chiron, and this is a little bit of a balm, um, a kind of a healing support for us. This trine is bringing a sense of courage and a sense of reassurance emotionally if we felt a little bit raw or low. And it's just also a reminder with Chiron that, vulnerability doesn't weaken us. Our the things that that challenge us and make us feel sensitive can be our superpowers. So this is really kind of a wonderful energy at the start of this day, at the start of this week, to acknowledge where you've grown, what wound you've healed, and also just the sense of where maybe you feel like you no longer need to prove yourself, where there's become a deep level of self-acceptance. We also have just minutes after that, Venus is semi-square to Pluto. So this is kind of going to intensify the emotional energy. With Pluto, we're talking about power dynamics. Um, Especially with semi-square Venus, that's in relationships. Semi-square is a challenge, but it's not confrontation energy. It's about awareness and noticing where the friction is, and maybe instead of holding on to it, being okay with just releasing for a little bit of time, and again, watching those flows. Before noon, we have Venus also active. Venus is by going to be by quintile Jupiter, so this is going to bring a sense of relief midday. This is kind of a heart-opening energy. It's a creative energy. It's a generous energy with Jupiter. And it's just a reminder that, meaning and joy and pleasure all still, exist, even when things feel a little bit complex. And this is a time in the middle of the day to remember why you care, what your values are, where your heart lies. We close the day with a final aspect. Like I said, Sunday's a busy day. Sun is quincunx Jupiter, and this is at around 9:30 at night. This is a question about moderation. And the idea is if we're reaching for expansion to avoid discomfort, then maybe that's not the quite type of expansion. If we're reaching for expansion because it feels genuinely, authentically like our next step, then that is the way through. So there's a sense of maybe recalibration. And then the next day. We don't have a lot going on Monday. I'm going to move to Tuesday. And this is where, there's a little bit of a destiny activation. There's also a little bit of a reality check here. Um, Mars is quintile the North Node, and this is at really early in the morning on Tuesday. It's at 3 a.m. And this is a subtle but kind of powerful. The North Node is where we're headed. So this is destiny aligned action. And, Mars is the planet of action. So it's, the idea here is that any little, even the little things that we do, is the smallest of choices, a decision or a movement that we're making may matter a lot more than it appears. So follow what feels quietly true. This is not to be loud energy doesn't always win. It's about going within and really attuning to what feels true for you. We also have Sun square Saturn. This is right close to noon. Um, this is kind of one of the more, Sun square Saturn is going to be one of the more sobering aspects of this week. Saturn contracts because it's really wanting us to execute um, in reality, right? So it's asking for responsibility right here. And it's okay if we feel a little bit tired or limited or confronted with a boundary. That's what, Saturn is doing and reminding us that this isn't a punishment, this is a refinement. So Sun squaring Saturn is saying, what are you truly willing to commit to? What are you truly about? Where can you, again, authentically connect with who you are and move and make decisions and take action from that space? Let's go to Wednesday, December 17th. This is kind of a thought. If we were in the emotions for the first part of the week, we're going to be in the mental body today. And there's going to be kind of this sense of pressure or feeling like there's going to be a sense of almost intuitively knowing what to adjust. Mercury is going to start off on it's like close to 2 a.m. On Wednesday. Mercury is going to be sesquiquadrate Chiron. So this means that, it's important for us to be aware of the words that we speak and the ways that we communicate verbally and non-verbally, because words can sting, words can heal. And sesquiquadrate means that if there's any old insecurity, sesquiquadrate Chiron, excuse me, means if there's any kind of old wound or old insecurity about being understood, about being believed, that might resurface. But this is the other thing. It's not, if we're on the healing path, things resurface, but they're never the same. That we get to also realize that maybe it feels like there's a tone that's all too familiar, but also there's the opportunity for us to witness and be a part of it unfolding in a uplifted manner. So this is about the way here is, I'm going to say, kind of, thoughtful, intuitive communication and listening. Mercury's also sesquiquadrate Jupiter on this day. So Mercury, this is what I'm talking about, mental body here a little bit. Um, you know, this is a sense of mental too many ideas almost if Mercury sesquiquadrate Jupiter, or too much justification, too much explanation. So this means, like, this isn't about throwing spaghetti at the wall with words. This is reminding that clarity doesn't need convincing. This isn't we're not here to be emotionally manipulated and have a sales pitch work, right? Like, if we're supposed to be doing something, it feels true from the inside. So the idea here on this, and in the evening on Wednesday. So let the truth speak for itself, and let that truth be simple, is what this Mercury sesquiquadrate Jupiter wants us to know. And then let's get to Thursday. This is where we're going to get, like, Thursday's going to be kind of like a really lovely shift day and a really lovely heart healing day. We have Mars semi-sextile Pluto. This is early in the morning. So Mars is entering into Capricorn on this day, early in the morning, and then immediately it's engaging with Pluto. And So this is meaning it's making its shift from maybe some kind of scattered effort into more with Cap and Mars and Cap. This is focused strategic action. This is quiet strength versus force. Venus is also really lovely right after that in an early morning. Venus is trining Chiron. And this is the heart healing aspect that I mentioned earlier. So this is that, there's connections, realizations, uh, conversations may kind of soothe an old wound around belonging or being worthy or being lovable. And so here, Venus trine Chiron is reminding us that there is strength in softness, kind of a similar, the similar vibe to, Mars entering into Capricorn, sextiling Pluto, which is it's not brute force. It's about trusting the energy and let the energy speak for itself. The final aspect today, Thursday, is going to be in the evening around 8:45 p.m. and that's going to be Venus is quincunxing Jupiter. So this evening is a time for emotional recalibration. And, is there a space where we're overextending or over hoping or over giving? The heart space is really wanting honesty versus just uh, blatant optimism. It's important to be optimistic, but here there's this self-care aspect that the Venus quincunx Jupiter is reminding us, like really, again, find the authentic truth and speak that and do that. Friday, December 19th. This is the day that we have our new moon. I'll do a separate podcast for that. But, one of the major aspects on Friday is that the sun is going to be quincunx Uranus. And this is going to be around 6:30 in the evening. And Uranus brings that lightning bolt surprise, right? So this is about unexpected shifts. Uh, Plans may change, perspectives can totally 180. Maybe something that felt very entrenched or even very stable is that asking us for flexibility here. But it's important, I feel like Uranus, lightning bolt Uranus, people can get a little bit afraid of it. This isn't chaos. This is liberation through making adjustments. This is Uranus wants us to be free. So it's here on Friday, I would suggest for us to, instead of being reactive or reactionary, be responsive, be centered, be thoughtful in the things that you say and do. And then Saturday, the 20th of December, this is kind of a cool day. There's a little bit of a crossroads energy. There's also this sense of new ideas and innovations, and also this Neptune's going to make an aspect that's really going to help us move through some illusion, delusion type stuff. But let's start. Mercury is squaring the North Node around 11 a.m. on Saturday, and so this is kind of with Mercury in the being about the thought forms and communication. This is about a destiny checkpoint, right? And it could be conversations, but it'll also just be information or decisions. So listen carefully to what repeats, I would say here, or listen carefully to what really feels true for you, and do that. This is another one of those aspects that it's like a little tiny thing that you decide to do or hop onto or make a shift can open up a pathway that you never thought you'd go on. So trust what your heart follows. That little kid self, I would say, when children are so clear when they come in. So trust what you intuitively want to do. Mars is also by quintile Uranus today, and that's closer to 6:30 or 7. And this is going to be Mars by quintile Uranus. This is the creative problem solving that I was talking about. This is like innovation. But with Mars, it's innovative action, right? And Mars in Cap now doing something differently. But here, Mars by quintile Uranus is saying, do it intelligently, do it intuitively, do it from your energy space of what you know to be true. And also stay flexible because this is where the breakthroughs can happen. If we can kind of, instead of clenching on, release a little bit. And then finally, about an hour later, after that, we have the sun squaring Neptune. So this is where I was talking about the week ends with this kind of the veil is lifting in this transit. The illusions are kind of going to be able to be seen through. Um, but also, clarity requires rest. This isn't about charging forward. This is about it's okay to move slowly, to speak to stay in tune from what's within. And this isn't about, this might be a time of something that we could feel like we can shift or let go of, but it's not about leaving something or losing something. It's about gaining our truth. So, the question at the end of the week is, what is real versus what have I been hoping that it would be? And really looking at if the illusion and delusion is the veil's going to be kind of lifted, uh, really being willing to look at what is true. So that's the week for this 14th to 20th. You know, let's be open to releasing things that don't work, illusions, choosing integrity, staying connected to our heart. Also, moving with the flows. This isn't a time to rush. This is a time to align. And this is a time to allow things to unfold naturally rather than forcing them. All right, guys. I will send you a meditation for this week a little bit, or you'll find it on my YouTube or you'll find it in my Substack. I'm gonna get to a meditation to support us this week. Blessings and love.